Hey guys, Engineer Wannabe here with my distinguished guests, Joey, Philly Watch fan, and Marcus, appreciated and precious.
Hey guys.
It's good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us as well. Hope you all are having a good day, a good week so far. But yeah, let's get started with wristwatch checks. Joey, what's on your wrist?
So this happened today.
Oh boy. Breaking news. There we go.
Yeah.
I love that watch.
Yeah, it's been on my radar for a long time, at least a year. And opportunity presented itself. It's kind of been going up in price a lot over the last couple months.
Yeah.
But I got lucky, got a flyer that somebody on one of the Facebook groups had one at a good price. It's only a month old.
Nice.
Warranty stamped August. There's still stickers on it when I got it, so
Wow.
I'm really pleased with it. It's I love the details in the globe there. It's not something that you typically see at this price point.
Right.
And
How'd it feel on the wrist?
Feels awesome. It's I think for some people it would be a big watch. On my wrist it works really well. The rubber strap is just it's perfect.
I think for the Aquaterra you almost have to go with the rubber. I don't love the Aquaterra bracelet, and the fact is that's a big thick watch, so it makes it even more important to get it on
absolutely
strap.
Absolutely
get a snug fit.
Yeah.
How about you, Marcus? What's on your wrist?
Well, I was catching up on the Engineer Wannabe videos, so I'm feeling extra precious and appreciated. So I thought I'd wear the blue today for you guys. So.
Nice. Wow. Watch royalty right there. For a second, I thought you might just taunt the Speedmaster, like hold it under my nose for a second.
I'm better than that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if Sanjay is going to go 3 for 3 on blue watches, but I don't think he has a blue watch now.
I don't have a blue watch.
Yeah.
I Sanjay'd my blue watch opportunity. On my wrist is white birch. You guys have seen this, so it's a quick one there.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be Marcus's first watch in 2022.
I don't know. Maybe it's possible. We'll see. Never say never, right? Saying hi to the chat. Jason, we got Clandestine Luxury. Corey, Kentucky Man 30, good to see you. Chaz from the Berg, how's it going? Craig, Steve, how's it going, Steve? Wilson, Bill, good to see you. Dan's here as well. Justin, how's it going? Leia is here as well, wearing the Fears Brunswick salmon on the wrist. Bobby Legs actually did a review on that. It's a rare watch. I think it's a rare watch. Peter, good to see you. Let's see, Clayton, good to see you as well. Marcus, what are your thoughts on Fierce? I don't think I've ever heard you.
I don't know much about them, so I'm gonna reserve judgment. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah. Keith, good to see you as well. Hobby Bobby, hey Hobby Bobby, good to see you. Ed K, how's it going? The other Steve is here as well. Good to see you, Time Hell. Bobby Legs, how's it going? Caliber YQG. Ed K is wearing the blue Seiko Willard. Very cool. I said hi to Justin. QOVW, good to see you as well. Dib is here. Good to see you, Dib. Darren Lincoln, how's it going? And Zhao, how's it going, Zhao? Clayton's here as well. Paul, how's it going? Mr. Hermes, never gonna get there. Aquaterra on rubber is awesome, says Zhao. Ken Spear is here as well. And Bobby, the other Bobby, Marcus of the Burn. I think that's everyone. Colin. Hey, Colin. Good to see you. Where's Marcus's cigarette? And James. Hey.
Smoke them if you got them.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. So I guess we should, Marcus, do you want to start with the topic, or should we go with the new releases first? What do you guys think?
We can start with the topic.
Yeah.
So I saw this this post on the Mosso group, and he was talking about a trade, about trading in his Longa 1815 for the Duomet, the JLC Duomet. And I thought it was an interesting question, and sort of like a mini flipper's pit, because I've been on record as saying the Duomet is like, I don't really like JLC except for the Reverso under 20 grand, but for me the Duomet is one of their, it's where they earn their watchmaker moniker,
right?
Because it's a very special piece. But if you look at the Longa, it's like, I think that's the best power reserve watch on the market. It's the most balanced dial, and it's just there's a certain refined simplicity to it. Yeah. So for me, it was like, what has more staying power? Because I was saying, like, the Duomet's more interesting, but if it were my collection, I feel like I would get bored of that quicker than I would something as simple but refined as the Longa 1815. So I just thought that would be something to ask the chat, see what they say, see what they think, maybe talk about complications. Do we put too much weight behind complications? Do the simple watches go underappreciated, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's such a great question, because I've been kind of thinking about that too. And it's interesting because Bobby Legs recently got the Submariner, and I think that poses an interesting case study as well. It feels like, I guess the Submariner would be potentially like the simple watch, right?
Yeah.
And the watch that stayed the longest in my collection is the simplest watch that I have as well, the SBGY 003. I've had that for a year and a half, and as a flipper guy who flips constantly, it's it blows my mind that I've kept that watch for so long. But it's the most basic watch, and everything interesting, like a chronograph, the Speedmaster that went to space, that's gone. Everything that I thought I'd keep for a really long time, it's hard to even think of any right now, but they're all gone, and the most basic things tend to stay longer. So it's, at least in my experience, I feel like the basic watches probably have more staying power. But the interesting watches are, it's you kind of want to dream, and you kind of want to have this illusion that you would keep the most interesting watches. But I feel like the more basic watch, like the Alpinist that I have right now, it's just 3-hander and a date. Really simple watch, really small watch, really under the radar, really understated. And I feel like that's the watch that's probably going to stay really long, like long term. I don't know, Joey, do you have any thoughts on
so,
this?
First of all, I think it's a really interesting scenario. Like, you don't see that type of trade happening very often, because you're talking about two watches that are very much in the same general, I don't know if it's like the same general genre, but the same, like, I would, if I were to kind of just like throw watches into buckets, there's like a bucket that would include watches like the 1815 and the Duometro, and other things of that sort, Calatravas, and it's so it's kind of a interesting proposition to even discuss that type of trade, because it's almost why did you get the 1815 or why did you get the 1815 in the first place if you're going to eventually end up trading it for a Duometro? It's a little bit interesting that way. It's also one of those things I've thought about a lot, especially when you start getting into these highly complicated pieces, is, in some ways, and no pun intended, but it kind of becomes like a ticking time bomb till that service. And some of these watches, you're talking, well over $2,000 to service, which is, it's a big chunk of change for, you can get a decent watch for that price. Yeah. I'm assuming that the 1815 would be less expensive to service than the Duometra, right?
Would be a nightmare.
Yeah. So I mean, I could kind of see where,
but I mean,
I don't know. I can see it both ways. How it would be a.
But taking out the servicing out of the equation, like how long is the staying power of your enjoyment in owning something that complicated? That's the other thing. I know we always want to get complications, but how long does that rush of owning this new complication run for?
See, for me, I kind of have this this desire for a complication, but I know my neurosis will take the better of me. Like I will start to conjure up almost all these different scenarios where it will break, and then I'll create like scenarios and methods of trying to avoid that kind of wear on that movement, and I'll drive myself nuts. So I feel like that's kind of why I don't even look at perpetual calendars and things like I don't know, not that I afford a minute repeater, but that's a big no-no. I know I wouldn't be able to enjoy something like that because of how crazy I'd get. So the simpler watches tend to stay, even up to a chronograph. I get pretty neurotic about all that and potential breaking points, potential ways on how I could ruin it and try to avoid it. Thinking too far out in the future and knowing that I'll probably sell it in a month anyway. But
I was recently having this discussion with someone about the Zeitwerk, where I think that the service is roughly $8,000 to $10,000 or somewhere in that ballpark.
Wow.
And it also, I guess, it comes with the territory too, because when you're talking about a $10,000 Rolex is going to cost you $1,000 to service. $100,000 Zeitwerk is going to cost you $10,000 to service. Perhaps you should have some sort of expectation that around 10% of the watch price is going to be the cost of service. So I guess when you're actually playing in that ballpark, when you're in that territory, it's less of a pill to swallow than those of us who dream of owning such timepieces, right? Or such complications. But I do know exactly what you're saying in that, like when I bought the Doppelchrono, the IWC, that's a 10-year-old, 12-year-old watch. So it part of what I was thinking is, like I could go on eBay and buy it from some guy for, X dollars, and God only knows how long that thing is going to need to be serviced. Thank God it's IWC who can actually do the service for a reasonable cost. But at the same time, being able to find one through Tourneau, that Tourneau services everything pre-owned that they sell, and warranties it for 2 years, that was a huge deciding factor for me. But you sometimes wonder when these highly complicated pieces hit the market, is it because people are starting to get nervous about, all right, it's been 5 years. When's this thing going to all of a sudden have an issue?
Well, that's why you can buy like an IWC, like Portuguese, the Kirk Klaus perpetual calendar chronograph for like $15,000, right? That's like $80,000 watch. You can find them for like 15 to 20.
Right.
So that's definitely those guys waiting for that time bomb. To happen.
Yeah. There was a quote from Mark Long Island Watch. I know he mentioned that if you're able to buy the Ferrari, you can pay for the oil change. So I think that's a true statement.
But think of all those like 30-year-olds that bought those old M3s and can't afford to service them.
Oh yeah, M5s. I think when I was super interested in getting an M5, thankfully it didn't.
Like those 6 and 7-year-old M3s you can get for not too much money.
Yeah. Let's jump into the chat real quick and see what everyone's saying. Kevin was saying he regrets getting rid of his North flag. He misses the legibility and simplicity. Did you trade that for that chronograph, Kevin? The Sacred chronograph? Or I know you traded it with your brother. Justin,
Still my favorite watch.
Yeah.
I love my North
you have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I regret not picking one up, but how often does one actually utilize complications? I used to use the chronograph all the time. I'd time my drives to work. See how fast I'd go. Unless if I was driving the Prius, then you might as well fall asleep.
And it's probably a big reason why dive watches are so popular, right? I mean, the legibility of you don't necessarily need a chronograph complication.
Yeah.
These days, I mean, you don't need any watch really, but just the quickness of being able to set a timer of some sort on your wrist without having to have something that's highly complicated is a big deal.
Yeah. I hear there's a guy who prefers a dive time bezel because you don't get the added cost of service downstream.
Is that the guy Tim Masso?
Yeah. He says it every time.
Yeah, that's true. I know I heard it somewhere.
It's almost verbatim. Jason says 3 out of my 4 watches are basic in quotes, but they've each got some flair. Yeah. Dib was saying that I was gonna get rid of the Alpinist. I don't know, man. That watch is so basic. It's got to stay. I don't think I will.
But does it become too versatile at some point? That's the other thing, right? That's a very sort of narrow line to walk, because for me, I used to love the Black Bay like 36. It's like the baby Explorer.
Yeah.
But then it's like, is it? And then it can go on any strap. But then it's like, is it too versatile?
Yeah, I could see that. I used to own that one too, but for me it was more the anti-reflective coating or lack thereof. And it looked like a dive watch with the bezel popped off. After someone told me that, it just looked pretty bad.
Not to sound too much like Bobby K, but I normally don't veer towards the complicated, but if I'm getting something more simple, then I want a color, a bold color. It's I like to have as many bold colors as possible because it just gives me a different reason to wear a different piece.
Yeah.
Day to day.
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to collect for sure. Sam says the most complicated watch I have is the full metal G-Shock, then an automatic GMT. That's true. Good point, Joe. Not a fan of high maintenance machines. Kevin says, do folks stress all that much with service costs for $50,000 watches? I'm sure they do. I mean,
I'm not thrilled about like Moser Perpetual needing a service at some point.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, money's money.
Yeah.
George Dorn says, tons of complication makes a watch feel too delicate to wear. I don't even like a chrono. You will not break it in 3 to 4 weeks. I know. Watchdog AZ, not AZ Clayton, but the other Clayton, definitely considering potential service costs and time much more after my Weiss was gone for so long.
I mean, I didn't want it to get into an issue about discussing like service and all that. It's more of like our personal preferences of, our taste and what we gravitate towards.
I hear you. Yeah.
But I think service is important too, I guess, for those of us who buy and hold.
Yeah. Joe, you're more of a buy and hold kind of guy, right? You don't flip as much as I do. I guess Marcus, you too.
Yeah. I have my issues. But I'm veering much more toward the stuff that I'm picking up. I'm keeping long term for for a while there, basically most of 2020, I was just buying, selling, and the beginning of this year. Now it's a lot less selling and slowing down on the buying, but I've been a little bit out of control this year. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that for me, that's always a consideration. It's always part of the grand scheme of things. You have to have that serviceability as part of your calculation when you decide what it is that you want to go for next.
Yeah. Well, Marcus, you didn't answer your own question. So, what are your thoughts? Do you feel like you gravitate towards the basic watch, or do you feel like there's a pendulum swing where you go from complication to basic?
I think I'm gravitating more towards the basic watch, because I was saying that in my answer I was like, the dual met is one of the few times it's probably better finished than the Longa. Very few watches are. It's got better finishing. It's got a more interesting movement. But I think that for me, if I were given that choice, I would pick the Longa. And I love the dual met.
Right.
Because if I had to buy and hold, completely independent of service costs, I'd probably go with the Longa. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with Grand Seiko as well. Like if you look at your white birch versus the spring drive, I prefer the spring drive. I prefer the white birch. I suspect that if I would ever buy a Grand Seiko, it would be a high beat. I respect the heck out of the spring drive, but I'm probably it's going to be the high beat for me. And even though the Grand Seiko is the spring drive is much more complicated, for me it's gonna definitely be a high beat when I do pull the trigger on one. Yeah.
Speaking of which, let me share my screen because I saw something hilarious in one of the Grand Seiko Instagram accounts. And I figure it's worth reading out loud. So this was an interesting, whoops, sorry guys. Interesting thing here. It says indices on the SLG H005 have been redesigned for maximum visibility. Blah, 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 blah. 12 o'clock index has a different shape to the others and is around 2.5 times wider. Its distinctive presence is designed to timelessly stay relevant in the future. Tweezers are used by careful, steady hands to meticulously position the indices before being delicately fixed in place with caulking and adhesive. I was like, that last sentence, was that really necessary? Okay, so you use tweezers to put the indices on and caulking and adhesive. Oh, good stuff, guys.
That's like, I don't know. It's like something you hear from Bob Vila.
Who's that?
Oh, good God.
Seriously, who is that?
He's like famous home improvement guy.
So like Mike Holmes. I know Mike Holmes.
Caulking paint where it ain't.
Right. Okay.
That's like one of those silly new homeowner sayings that people have.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the new releases. And one release I'm super excited about is this guy. I know it was announced a few days ago, but I feel like we didn't really get a chance to talk about it. It's the Omega Speedmaster chronoscope. Really cool piece. It's got tachymeter, telemeter, pulsometer, and another tachymeter on the inside, I think.
So basically, the only person who can use all three is probably a military surgeon who's working in an artillery unit that also races cars, right?
A field medic. It's got to be a field medic.
But that works in artillery. That works in artillery.
Yeah, in the trenches. Still, I mean, it's so cool because It reminds me of that watch that TJV had. Do you
The
guys?
Gennaro, the Tissot Gennaro.
Yeah, that, and there was another one. It's like he called it the Ratrapante, something else. I feel like it began with a D. Anyway, so I don't know, what do you guys think of this? I find it really cool. They said that the lug to lug is 48 millimeters, so I'm super excited about that. So potentially wearable for me, even though it's 43 millimeters large in diameter. 21 millimeter lug width. Bracelet is tapering down to 16, and it has quick adjust, which I don't really care too much about. There it is. So yeah,
I'm a big fan personally. I think it's pretty cool. I'm not a big speedy guy. A lot of people that know me know that I just don't care for it. For a long time, this was really the only Omega that appealed to me, and this is one of the first new releases I've seen from them where I'm like, wow, that's something that I'd love to have someday. I think it's a great design. I love that dial style. What do they call it? A snail dial or something like that.
Yeah.
I like the manual line coaxial.
9908.
Yeah. It's cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah. This finishing is nice. Almost feels like they covered up a whole bunch of unfinished parts.
Right.
Measure. But I mean, it's a really nice 3/4 plate. I don't really know too much about the movement. I think coaxial double barrel. Not sure about the power reserve. 55 hours.
60.
60.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool watch. I really like the bronze gold. I wish they did a bronze gold bracelet too. That'd be so cool.
That'd be so expensive.
Yeah. 14,000 Swiss francs.
Yeah.
The bronze gold.
Yeah.
I think it's a missed opportunity. It's a handsome watch. I don't personally care for the snail dial, and that's just taste.
Yeah.
I think they did a lot of good stuff with it. I was surprised at how thin this one came in.
Yeah.
Considering they used the coaxial, like this is like, I think this is the 9900 base.
Yeah.
And then they just and you can tell that like it's kind of a cop out here, because if you compare to like how Breitling did their Navitimer, their 806, they actually like put R&D and they re-engineered the B01, but this one, it looks like they barely tried, right?
Yeah.
I don't like this movement. I don't think it fits into the neo vintage aesthetic. I think like I feel like they could have, if they had just put the 3861 in there, it would fit more into the period aesthetic. Because
I can see that.
That 3/4 plate, it doesn't look like a manual wind chronograph. It just looks like one of those, those city Speedmasters that they detuned the 8500 and then they just made it a manual wind. Like I can't tell the difference. Like how do I know this is a chronograph in the back? If you showed this to me,
right?
Could be a time only, like, manual wind diver for all I know. So I think it's a missed opportunity. I don't think it moves the needle in any significant way. It's a handsome watch. I think it's, the price is reasonable. So, but I think they could have made it better by making a different choice with the movement.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel like this blue dial is calling my name though.
I do like that. That's the one that I like the most personally.
That's the best looking one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys know if the bezel is aluminum or?
It's ceramic. I'm pretty sure it's ceramic. Yeah. It's ceramic. And I mean, this is coming in at 13, right? I thought it was under 13. I thought this was definitely going to be like, 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Like it was going to be pushing 15 based on how thick the automatic coaxial is, right? The 9900, because those are thick boys. Like the Speedy Racing, Those are really thick boys. So,
yeah,
it surprised me, but at the same time, I think it's a missed opportunity if they put the 3861 rather than sort of a detune 9900.
yeah, good point. I was impressed with the thinness as well.
Yeah,
that's
like a Daytona basically. It's thinner than, I think it's thinner than the actual the Speedy Pro.
Oh yeah, it is like a whole, well, almost a millimeter.
Yeah, almost a millimeter.
Yeah, which is a lot. It's funny we're talking about a chronograph complication. I'll probably buy and flip.
I'll let Torrin pick that one up when you flip that.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for you to pick up an A384 El Primero.
Oh yeah, I've come really close a few times.
That one I'm gonna be at the AD.
What if I pick up the Cappuccino A385?
I don't love that. I think I'm gonna let that one go.
Yeah,
I will let that one go.
Anything out of my wheelhouse. Plus, Bob Villa has more than likely never been down the Appalachian Trail. Good one. Hobby Bobby says the bracelet doesn't seem to match well with the dial. The straps are better. Bronze gold is pretty nice. I really like the bracelet. It's really comfortable. So, Kevin likes the blue dial and the leaf hands. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Corey. Dubé. Dubé and Chaldebrand. That's the TGV watch. I don't know why I got so excited, but it was a funny one. Watch Advisor did a thorough piece on this. Time Hill says, like Chaz, not sure about the chronoscope. Finishing looks like a clamshell. Leia says its movement is the manual version of Calvin.
Basically, it's just like the BO9 is a manual version of the BO1, but I think Breitling spent more time on that.
Yeah,
as you can tell by the pistachio. Like, if you look at the movement on the pistachio, it looks a lot better than this.
Yeah, Mosso's kind of hard on that though. On the B09, I think he called it a really ugly movement. B09, right? That's the manual wind.
The version? Manual one, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard Tim Mosso give it some grief because he said you can see some kind of winding, like the remains of the winding mechanism, the automatic winding mechanism. But anyway, disappointing finish given the manual, more movement hidden from that plate than a rotor. Yeah. Steve asking what is bronze gold? Bronze gold is a proprietary alloy from Omega that is 9 carats, 37.5% gold, and then I think copper.
Yeah,
and aluminum.
It's supposed to be more tarnish resistant. I think that's the.
Yeah. More tarnish resistant than regular bronze, so copper tin, but still supposed to patina. Kevin says it looks hot. Multiple levels of hot. Bobby, resident Speedmaster expert, says, as a Speedmaster fan, not a fan of this one, especially the lazy case back. There you go.
Bobby knows his Speedmasters.
He sure does. Kevin says, I like the Speedmaster CK2998 in blue and white.
That's a beautiful watch.
It is. A bit too thick though.
Yeah.
I'm totally chuffed to bits. Anyway, so Marcus will potentially get Sanjit's watch, says Dib. I need to go to Canada as soon as the white birch is gone to beat him this time. I think Torrin called dibs on that, Dib. Hey, Penny's here. Hey, Penny. Good to see you. Bunch of Speedmaster connoisseurs up in the chat suddenly. There's oil money. All right, moving on. So the other one that was super interesting to me is the Louis Erard. I know, Marcus, you're not a fan of Louis Erard, right? But
I hate this one.
yeah. Okay.
I like the other two, but I hate this one.
Okay. Tell us why.
So I'm gonna do this in a Socratic way. Okay, I'm gonna do this in a Socratic way. What's the point of a regulator? Why do we structure the dial in a regulator the way they do? The idea is that you want to be able to tell time to a very precise degree, very quickly, right? So the regulators are meant to are meant to accentuate, so you can get the exact minute of the time, and that's how you set other watches in the like other clocks in the room. Like usually all the clocks are going to be set to the clock that is a regulator style. So that's what the whole concept of a regulator style is. How the hell do you tell what the exact time is on this dial? Like what is the exact time?
Well, actually,
I know that Bilal came up with some BS thing. It's like you look at the demarcations of the sun rays sunburst, and then you can tell the minute, because I think those sunbursts are exactly like 60. But
yeah,
if I have to look that hard, like that defeats the purpose of the regulator, and that's like, this is just being too cute, and I hate this. Like I love the other two because it had Silberstein and Bjarne Halter. I overlook the fact that this is a crap movement, poorly decorated, like unmodified, and they're charging like $3.5 grand, $4 grand. I overlook those because those watches were really great designs, but this is stupid. I hate it.
Yeah,
that's
pretty bad.
That's not for me at all. I just don't. I don't even know what the appeal is to this.
Yeah,
so, Sanjay, since you like it so much, how about you tell us?
Well, as you guys gently crushed the life out of my soul here.
That's what I do. That's what I do. It was too nice the last week.
The reason I like this, I totally get that you can't quickly tell the time. Even though there are demarcations here, or where the rays end is a minute, but you don't have any quick reference point. You don't have a 15, you don't have a 30, you don't have a 20. You got nothing. It's I just really like the light play here. I'm going full basic here. I like the light play. I mean, I'm assuming if you loop this would be really well finished. I mean, in this picture, it doesn't look very good, actually.
Coming from Louis Erard, I think that's quite an assumption.
Yeah, yeah, that looks.
It's almost like they took the back 3/4 plate from the Omega and put it on the front of the dial.
An arabesque. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Yeah, this watch has been officially ruined for me.
Sorry, Sanjay.
No, don't be sorry.
I still appreciate you.
Yeah. The finishing here looks really rough. So my assumption was that it would be really nicely polished, like chamfered. Because I saw these these caps on top of these. Well, even those don't look good. Look at that. Okay, well, if this watch dial was really well finished, I think it would have been a hit for me. But that movement is really sad to look at.
That needs a case back. I don't care what Amin says. That needs a case back.
Yeah, I agree. But does anyone know how to pronounce this Atelier Oi? Atelier either way, yeah. It's only 178 pieces though, and it's far too big for me. So there was no risk for me to ever purchase it. 42 millimeters, I think, over 50 lug to lug, I think. But yeah.
I'm bad at the more basic pronunciation, so I'm not even going to try that one.
Just oi. Oi. Okay. Let's see what the chat says about these guys. I am stuck. The chat's not moving. Yeah. Well, we'll get back to that then. Next up was a quick one, I think. Was gonna share this. Just ask for you guys' thoughts on the Mido Ocean Star 600. It reminds me of an older Seamaster, the older gen Seamaster with this skeletonized hands. Kind of has Planet Ocean vibes to it. I don't know. What do you guys think of this one? You have one, right, Joey?
I've got the GMT. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you can find a much better value than Mido in the market. I think what you're getting at that price point is just really well made, really robust pieces. They have good details to them. My GMT has a on the fly adjustable clasp, very Doxa style. The bezel action is fantastic. The movement on it is, a true GMT movement. It's just a really, really well made piece, and to be able to get one under the right, under the right sale or whatever for under $900 is just amazing. I don't know what the MSRP is on this one. I assume it would be similar ballpark.
1700 I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, under 2Gs, there isn't much better. There aren't many brands that are doing better, I think, in my opinion. It looks like this has the adjustable. Yep, has the quick adjust.
Yeah, I mean, even the basic Mido Ocean Star has that, which I was really impressed with. That quick adjust bracelet. I'm not sure why they went polished center links here. I know.
Yeah, that's my biggest complaint on the GMT is the polished center links. I just find that on a tool watch, it's just it becomes a magnet.
Yeah,
I've thrown mine on a rubber strap already.
Yeah, for sure. Marcus, any thoughts? It's a.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna shout out Pete from Not So Obvious Watches. I'm not an articulate man. I'm not an eloquent man. I hate shitters. I hate Microbrands, and oftentimes I can't express why. So he had a great video about why he doesn't like Microbrands, and I think that this release is really a mic drop in support of why I hate Microbrands. Because if you look at this is such a fantastic release. This has the power of economies of scale. This is powers of a dedicated design department, quality control and all that. It's just a giant swatch machinery. Why would you buy some sort of Microbrand shitter when you can buy this? I mean, this is a mic drop release for that price range.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, now that my chat is working here, we can go back and take a look at what they were talking about when we were talking about the Erard. My boy hitting y'all with the Socrates. Wilson, looks like the hands fell out. Oh man, you guys. Come on, Marcus, don't hold back. Hey Bruce, good to see you. Thanks for joining us, man. Clayton saying it might be less legible than the Rado True Square. That was the Over the Abyss one. That was pretty bad. Paul saying, "Do those blinds open?" It kind of looked like an aperture, like a camera aperture.
It's like when you take the Magneto S, the ball Magneto S, and close the.
Yeah, good point. Peter says, "I'm intrigued by the look, but not the watch." James says Louis Erard Jr. must have broke his spirograph, and Dad was like, "We have a winner." That's a good one. Are some frosted and some polished? Now, I think they were just machining marks. Didn't they look like machine marks? I guess, be good to see one in person, but it's not going to happen because It's only 178, which is 175 too many, says Chaz. Anything more than $1,000 to the 2824 or other basic movement needs a solid case back. That's a good point. And on to the Ocean Star. Mike is dropped, says Steve. It's over, guys. I wonder if Keith is listening. Keith is a microbrand connoisseur. He loves his microbrands. Let's see. Marcus loves Mido, says Kevin. Mido is great value. Macy's currently has the blue GMT for under 900. Wow, that's pretty good.
That's what I got, the orange GMT.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't think Swatch advertise Mido in this market at all. They do more in Latin American markets. Marcus, do you know if there are any Mido dealers near us? The couple that I knew closed down.
Not that I know of.
Yeah. There was one right by my house. Yeah. It's gone.
Do you have Jared? No Jared?
No.
Bloomingdale's?
No. Wait. I think we have one.
Actually, I got mine from Bloomingdale's.
Okay.
They were running a special. I think it was, all in, it was like 35% off retail price.
Wow. Pretty good. I think the most we get off on a sale is like 25 up here in the Hudson's Bay.
Yeah. Though we have our other AD who's got like Swatch that gives us 35.
Yeah. Mido is huge in Mexico. That's the biggest market for them. I didn't know that. That's like Rado is really huge in India, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
I got my Mido OC tribute from Nordstrom's. We've got Nordstrom's, like outlet malls. But yeah, okay. Moving on. I was gonna hit on. I think it was the release.
Uh-oh. Oh boy. So we have to carry it now.
I guess so. This is a scary proposition.
Very, very scary.
Guys, sorry.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
You just scared us.
I totally closed the tab. It was the first time I've done that. All right.
If only you came back upside down, that would have been magic.
Yeah, that would have been perfect. No, I went to switch tabs and I hit the X instead of the switch. Good job, Sanjay. Good job. But yeah, the Hermes H08.
Wow, that's a $7,000 Bell and Ross.
Yeah. Do you guys know what the like the original price is? Is like a $2,000. Is it like a $2,000 premium on this? Because I always thought the original H08 was like $5,000.
Around 6, I think.
Okay.
I like the original a lot. It's actually one of my favorite new pieces that came out this year. I don't think Marcus is much of a fan, but a lot of people really liked the original one that came out this year. This one just doesn't do anything for me.
I really like the font on this guy. The typeface is really, really nice. That's about all I know about it. I don't know what movement's in there.
I think it's a Vaucher. It's like a modified Vaucher.
Yes. Look at that 4. That's so cool. That 3 is really cool too.
The 8's kind of like a theta.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I really like the font of the numerals, but
yeah. And it's follow through on the date wheel, which is attention to detail. So
the movement finishing I'm not so sure about with the H's all over it, but
okay, yeah. But Hodinkee charging that much on a release. Is that normal? So titanium with DLC coating on a rubber strap was 5,700 USD. Titanium on bracelet was 60.50, and Hodinkee is charging 72.75. That's kind of over the top, don't you think? 72.75. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Can anyone
Paul's gonna get his watch, and it's gonna have stories about the past that we all forgot about.
Yeah. Can anyone rationalize that price? I don't know.
Nah. But I mean, it's Hodinkee. That's
Yeah. Limited edition for Hodinkee. I'm not sure how many pieces. 2018 pieces? That'd be a lot. Yeah, I got nothing. Anyway. So that's it. That's it for what I was gonna chat about today. Do you guys have any other releases you guys want to look at? Anyone in the chat? Feel free to chime in. Got a super chat from Zhao, but my StreamYards are not working today. Zhao, thanks so much for that. That's very kind of you. Microbrands are mostly a trap.
I people often wonder why a brand like Halios is so revered, and I mean, my personal experience, I haven't had much luck with Suitas and Eddas lately. Where I'm having, I've got 3 watches that have been in for service in the last year because it's having that winding clutch issue where you go to wind it and the rotor starts spinning like crazy. And I sent in the Helios Fairwind. At first, I emailed Jason Lim. He said, well, here's a label, and DHL label, get it to me and I'll take care of it for you. So shipped it out, and literally 2.5 weeks later I had it back. So if there's one brand that I think really shows why they have the hype that they do, it's them. I don't think you're going to get that type of service from a lot of these brands that became big from Kickstarters and basically threw together parts. And when, like Marcus said, when you get a Mido for, around the same price or just a little bit more, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. But I mean, when it comes to those kinds of brands, I wouldn't even consider them a real brand, right? They kind of have to first, I feel like there's a step before Microbrand where you kind of have to prove yourself that you're not a fly-by-night kind of, watch manufacturer. And then you get to Microbrand, which I would say is like Helios, Zelos, Anordain. Anordain's pretty good. Thoughts on Anordain, Marcus?
I haven't seen them in person.
Yeah.
I think from all of the videography Bobby's taken, looks pretty good. Like I don't have, it's good value. The value added is not in the movement. It's not really in the case finishing. It's going to be purely in the dial. But at least it has that. Same with Zelos, right? Zelos has got the Damascus titanium. They've got the meteorites. Those are cool things that at least bring you into something. For me, like I think the most egregious is the Islander. Like the Islander is just a derivative shitter. Like honestly, that's just the most egregious one. So,
I mean, I know a lot of people say that the Islander gets a pass because it's marked from Long Island Watch. I agree. It really shouldn't get a pass. It's it's still a copy watch, a knockoff, right? and I don't know why we should tolerate it. I mean, I have nothing against Mark. I really like Mark. I enjoy listening to him, but man, that's hard to stomach. So I
I mean the logo's terrible. The like it's he took Seikos that are homages of Rolexes and put a bad logo on them. That's my impression of them. I mean, maybe they work well and all of that, but I don't know. It's just I can't imagine getting one.
Yeah, and he's mentioned that there are some unique designs in the pipeline. But I feel like once you damage your brand that much, it's like Steinhardt. I'm sure they have unique designs, but you've kind of damaged the brand into being like a knockoff only brand, and that's what people think of when you think of Steinhardt. And yeah, I mean, makes me not interested in seeing what unique stuff they have.
I mean, it's funny. Like the only reason why I would even think to get one of those is if I was heavy into the modding community, and once the SKX was discontinued, he was really able to fill a gap there by offering the exact same case, the exact same movement. Everything fits together the same way as all those people that are modding Seiko. So I that's really the only appeal I can think of when it comes to those.
Yeah. Well, my chat's working again, so we can dip into it. Leah was saying he likes the regular H08 too. Paul was saying that the Hodinkee collab, I think, is a bad color. Very developed and cohesive design. He has one. He has one. Oh man, I feel so bad for you, Paul. Yes.
Before it was even ever released.
Yeah. It's rough. Wilson, overnight from 2019. Oh, that's good. All right, Pale Horse, good to see you. Thanks for joining us, man. That Hermes is giving me 7 Friday vibes. Yeah, look at that. Hodinkee Premium. I don't think Hodinkee is worth two grand more. I gotta say, almost 2 grand. Hodinkee tax. Hodinkee marking out the price. Shocking, says Craig. I honestly thought it would be gray, no date. Didn't they? They already have the gray, right? The gray with the orange strap. So I guess they had to switch it up. Kevin S says Islander is the Long Island Invicta. I probably wouldn't go that far, but I guess Invicta does the sub knockoffs. Islanders should be burnt, all of them. It's more expensive copy paste, says Dib. Islander is a passionless cash grab, says Paul. Also wants us to fight him.
I'm in to fight Paul.
Kevin says save your money, buy a Mido. You'd have to save quite a bit more.
Yeah, that's true.
This is Jordan Micro.
But something tickled me very funny about Bobby Legs' comment.
Bobby Legs. Let's see.
The Islander versus the sub.
Versus the Yub.
Better than a Yub.
Sanjay, can you pull up Keith's comment, because I don't want to leave that hanging.
Keith, was it from some time ago?
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's micros versus more established brands. Why can't it be either appeal to?
And I respect Keith. I like Keith.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave a sour taste in his mouth from this chat, because I'm a little outspoken against micros. But I think from a more balanced, diplomatic place, I feel like the established brands have home field advantage. Like, you've got to, like, as a micro brand, you've got to damn well prove to me that you're worth it. And the fact is, it's like, why would I take a chance on a micro when I think you've got a lot of the Swatch entry level brands doing so much, and they've got, again, economies of scale. These are not, I wouldn't consider them luxury watches, right? These are more like tool watches, like true tool watches. And these brands have got way more experience, and they've got way more money backing them in terms of putting together a solid product that's going to last, that's going to be an enjoyable experience. And if like, tons of micros fail, tons of micros put out crap. The few that don't, those are the rarities. So that's where I'm at. Like, you're like, Microbrands are crap until they prove otherwise. Like, that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and to add to that, you yourself said, like, Zelos is a good value proposition, and Ordain is a good value proposition. So even though you have that hard stance against Microbrands per se, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? So not to put words in your mouth, but just to give you kudos. But yeah, good point. Must be shipping via the Appalachian Trail. But Zhao mentioned the Islander is a good example of something getting a pass because of goodwill towards the person. Mark is a really likable guy, so I totally get it. But if we're logically consistent, he really shouldn't get a pass. Okay, so I think we've hit our 10 o'clock mark, and I am running on Teams again. Do you guys have anything to plug?
Nope.
Joey's Instagram.
Yeah, that's my Instagram.
Yep, Philly Watch Fan.
That's my Instagram. No, thanks for having me on, Sanjay.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining. Marcus is Penultimate Watch on Instagram, so check him out. And yeah, nothing new on my end. You guys know what I'm about. So say goodnight to everyone. Thanks all for joining. Hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Bye.